Hi everybody, Andy, Nobles Grove Land Management, coming to you from Northern Illinois. Late April, beautiful day. Working on some follow-up treatment for invasive honeysuckle, and that is the topic I want to talk to you and share some thoughts on. So I'm going to spin the camera around here and show you what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm on a property I've been working on for the last 6 months, and the primary focus to get started here is invasive species and getting them under control. And I've used a couple different methods, and herein lies a few thoughts I wanted to share. So as we know, honeysuckle is an invasive. It's a large woody plant. Let's see if I can find some here. Some right here. Right along the creek bank. Okay, so that's what it is. I'm sure most people know what it is. It's an invasive that takes over your forest floor, blocks out the sunlight, and suppresses other native plants, suppresses tree seedlings from turning into saplings. It's just nasty stuff all the way around. The first thought I have on it is, when talking about forestry mulching, forestry mowing, brush cutting, however it is being described, it's kind of all the same thing. And it is a very, very expensive service and tool that we have available to help get this under control. But a lot of times it's a necessary thing, but it's not the be-all, end-all. And I feel like sometimes there is an expectation out there that I'm going to hire ABC Forestry Mulching to come in and mulch my, however many acres, and we're going to get all cleaned up, and it's going to look awesome. And it does for a while. The problem I think that might exist out there, and this is the expectation that I'm worried about, is that it's a one and done proposition. It's the be all end all, and that is just not the case. And right in front of me is a perfect example. So got a couple of hackberry trees here, had a bunch of mature honeysuckle all around them. You can see the leftover mulch or slash from the mulcher from last fall, and you can see what's all this green stuff on the ground. Well, these are the resprouts. Honeysuckle resprouts. These will eventually grow, if they go untreated, right back to the way they were. Now, is it going to happen in 1 year? Probably not. But as time gets away from all of us, in a couple, 3 years, you'll be right back to where you started. And why did you mulch it then? You just spent $2,000, $5,000, $20,000, whatever the cost was, but we didn't follow up. So point is, we have to have a follow-up treatment. If you're able to burn, at my personal property, I'm able to burn. I have my own fire breaks. I have the equipment to do it. I set my timber on fire every year to keep these under control. It's extremely effective, and it's kind of fun to do, but that's not always an option. So like the property here is so large, there are no fire breaks. There's only a handful of trails throughout the whole property. We're talking it's over 100 acres, so able to get the burn done with just a 1 or 2 or 4 or 5 guys might not be practical. So what I'm doing is I'm going in and treating these with a herbicide. I'm using Ranger Pro, which is a glyphosate. It's the same active ingredient that's in Roundup. Of course, this is a little better stuff than you can buy at your hardware store, although hardware stores will carry this if it's a good one. I have to mix it myself. Read the label. It is pertinent that you read the label when you mix. Use your PPE. You don't want to get this stuff on you. You don't want to ingest it. You don't want to breathe it in, all that good stuff. So what I do is, before we get too deep into spring, just going to hit these guys, try to kill them off, try to get them suppressed. This is our follow-up treatment. Yes, it costs more money to do this. But the big investment of getting the mulching done, or the big expense, I should say, probably a better way to put it, has taken place. We don't want that to be in vain and all for nothing. What is also nice about treating this way is that now we can find other invasives are starting to come up, like this garlic mustard. We'll hit him too because he's invasive. There's some dandelions, So anyway, the whole point is, if you're going to contract with somebody to come in and run the forestry mulcher on your property, get it cleaned up. It looks awesome when it's done, but you got to be diligent about the follow-up. Now, whether that's yourself following up, doing the simple spraying like I am, or you hire somebody else to do it, you got to make sure you follow up. That's the whole point. A few other things I'd like to say about treating this stuff is there's areas in here where either it was thick enough with large trees that I couldn't effectively move the forestry mulcher around, physically around. That's when it gets a little trickier, because I moved to multi-floor rows. I moved to basil bark treatment, and a basil bark treatment is simply a oil-based chemical, or oil-based carrier, I should say, with a little different chemical, triclopyr with 2,4-D, and we're treating the bottom 20 inches or so of the stem of the plant, in this case the honeysuckle, what we're talking about. And this is a perfect example. So this stem was too close to this tree to risk hitting the tree with the forestry mulcher, so I came back this winter. You can't see it, but I use a blue marking dye and spray about the bottom 20 inches of the stem. And that oil, when it's dormant, when the plant is dormant, that oil and chemical will go down into the root system and kill this thing off, which it has. They still bud out with their leaves, some more than others. You know, this guy here, he's holding on for dear life, but his leaves really don't look well. They're starting to wilt, curl up. So that's another great effective tool, is the basil bark in the right area. Of course, fire is another tool we can use, like I mentioned, but that might not be for everybody or the right situation. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of it. Basil bark treatment. There's a couple different chemicals. Hey, there's a turkey. Let's see if we can get him on here. Where'd he go? Now he's disappeared out of view. Anyway, I'm rambling a little bit, but the whole point is make sure you have a plan for follow-up treatment on these resprouts. Here, this is a really good example right here. This was really thick with honeysuckle, and ran the forestry mulcher on it. Now we're following up. We get this stuff under control. Hopefully we can get some more native plants to take their place. I mean, this is almost barren in here. It was so thick that, you know, nothing was coming up. Nothing was growing underneath it. It was so thick. And that's a problem. You know, we need native stuff to outcompete the junk and tree regeneration and whatnot. So anyhow, that's all for today. Thanks.